All right. Welcome, everybody. It is time for the Unlimited Wisdom Podcast. Welcome to episode 37 of the Unlimited Wisdom Podcast with Robert Hollis. I'm Craig A. Jackman, along with Matt Hollis and, of
Hello,
course,
hello.
Robert. We're so glad to have you with us today. And by the way, before we get started, thank you for hitting the like button and sharing this podcast with your friends and family. Gentlemen, let's get started. I know we were kind of discussing before we got into starting the podcast today a little bit of the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Yeah.
Matt and I are living in Southern California, and we are fortunately not close to the fires. I think I'm in Orange County, so that's about 50 miles southwest or southeast of where a lot of the fires are. And Matt, you're a little further away, I believe.
Yeah. No, I'm
But
far away. Yeah.
yeah,
So
but it is just incredible. And we were talking about how, we wish that everybody all the best getting through this fire
yeah,
season. It is
I was
not
gonna say
fun.
if San Diego was on fire, I'd be a little worried because I'm closer to San Diego now than I am to LA. But yeah, it's
And
crazy.
like Craig, I've lived in California enough to know that there has been some crazy fires in San Diego and around that area.
Yeah.
Well, you
Even
Earthquakes,
lived near a
fires.
fire that was like what, about less than half a mile from your home when you
yeah.
lived in Laguna?
I tell people how close the fires were to us is we were watching the fire go over the roofs of houses in our backyard, and we turned on the TV. And when we turned on the TV and the news helicopters are showing where the fires were, you could see our backyard from the helicopter
Yeah,
that
it's
was
like, is
showing
that
where
Kyle in the backyard with the dogs? No. Yeah, that's
the
at that moment in time, you're like, oh shit, maybe we
it's
should
like,
bounce.
wow, there we are. There shouldn't be
Interesting.
two things in the same sentence. Is wow, look how bad the fires are, and wow, you can see us in the backyard. That should be
Right.
those two sentences.
Kind of
Well, it's
a
crazy how
open your
fast it could
eyes
change.
moment there, right?
Yeah, because I was watching footage like last night. There's so much footage because we got smartphones now. And
Yeah.
these people that are riding their bikes or e-bikes into these zones and like getting footage of the houses burning down. It
Oh
is it
man.
is insane like
And
how
then this
fast
morning,
they
the
go up.
news was some of the news helicopters were flying over the areas, like in the Eaton, where the Eaton fire was, and Palisades, and
This is the
oh
biggest
my
LA
gosh,
fire ever, right?
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, well, the thing that sort of gets me, it's funny we got started on this subject because, Craig and Matt asked me how I was doing, and I see stuff like this, and my first feeling is just grateful. I'm just so happy and grateful that, I'm not caught up in things like that. And, what's really, really sad is, when you see devastation that your mind can't comprehend. Like I remember when I first heard about the fire, and they were saying that, oh my God, there's 100 homes on fire. And the thing that spooked me out is when they showed a broadcaster for CBS News, and he was pointing to three houses that were on fires, and there was no fire trucks there. And I was going like, this is bizarre. You know what I mean? And then you wake up in the morning and that 100 houses turned into 1,000. And then it was like 8,000 acres. And then I get up this morning and it's 9,000 houses, 20,000 acres. And then the word that you don't want to hear is, we got about 8% fire
Contained.
contained.
Yeah.
And I'm like
yeah,
going,
on the two big ones.
There's that one clip
I'm
I that's
like, I'm
gone
like,
viral of
where's it going next? Because it already destroyed everything in its
yeah.
path, So, and then of course the weatherman comes on and says, "Yeah, we got a break this morning and this afternoon, but we're gonna get hammered again tonight with the winds." And I'm just like, there was one other thing that I'll say, and we'll just keep talking about it. Is they actually had a person from the military on there. That's the head of the military right now. And he said, "Yeah, we're ready to go, but we won't go until the LA Fire Department calls us in." And I'm like, uh, when do you figure out that it's bad enough where you need everyone's help? Why?
which is weird because I heard that they were calling up National Guard reserves,
Yeah.
and it's like, you should probably do something here.
Yeah, like they said, right now, LA County and LA City are not requesting any of our help. And then the only thing that makes you get upset, and then you hear the rest of the story, is I guess there's a guy there that he's dedicated his whole life to, I forget how many aircraft he has. He's got like 50 some aircraft. And he said, I got plenty of money and I was just called to, instead of relying on the city of LA or the state of California, I just want to be the kind of person that people can call to get there. And he says, even though people might be really upset right now with what happened, he says, we have tried at least 11 times in the last 4 days to get aircraft in that area, and we had to bring them home because of the wind. So now you got an expert that's going, I don't need money. I don't need anybody to tell me to do it or not do it. I will go in there in a millisecond and save these people. And he's got the planes that are pulling the water out of the ocean.
Right, the skimmers.
So yeah, so they just sit down and suck up all the water and then go right back over. And when he says it's just too windy, we've had to call him back to the base. We sent him looking for openings, and the wind wouldn't calm down even though we're circling. And so we'll run out of fuel, so we got to bring him back to the base. And I'm going like, all right, so do you call the National Guard and do you call the U.S. Army or whatever when all of their stuff's sitting on the ground and they can't go into the air either? That's like a huge natural disaster.
Don't think about stuff like this because it does take a community to do stuff like that. But when you can't, like you just shared, Robert, when you can't get aircraft in the air, or the other thing which happened recently too, you had some idiot with a drone who flew it over in the area.
It hit one of this guy's planes.
Yeah, it hit one of the planes, and now that's a plane that can't be used until Monday. What happens between now and Monday? Let's hope that the winds are dying down enough, because I know Monday supposedly the winds are coming back.
Yeah, and then you got the other thing is when everybody goes, okay, so is there anything that could have been done to prevent this from happening?
Oh yeah, that one. Second guessing.
Oh, it's like, so all of a sudden a notice, comes to light that the mayor basically told the head of the fire department that your budget's going to be cut by 17 million. It's a little bit of bad timing. And then I guess that fire chief sent a letter back saying, this is really gonna, hurt us in case of emergency. And I'm like, there's going to be some heads that are going to roll. That there's no doubt about that.
No, yeah,
and there's
I agree.
even controversy around that too. I was reading where
I'm sure
they're saying that it wasn't cut in the sense of the manpower on the ground, meaning boots on the ground. It was cut for administrative. I don't know. I'm just, relaying.
Well, here's where you get into how do you know that, right?
Yes.
What the political mumbo jumbo of it all.
All the BS that's going online right now, and you point and look at one and go, what? So there's people in the field that were reporting it and talking to firemen, and they're going, why aren't you putting out the fires? And they go, there's no water in the fire hydrants. There's no water pressure. And then the next day you hear, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I don't know. There was a guy from the news talking to the firefighter.
Yeah, nobody wants to be blamed, but the reality is it's so interesting because it's like everybody that's in power is to blame. Like that's how the system works, right? We all get together collectively and elect these people into the office, and they're supposed to protect us and take our tax dollars and make sure that we're safe. They didn't do that. So since they didn't do that, and people in LA pay so much fucking money in taxes, it's insane.
Exactly.
So for the fact of the matter that these people's houses and they're losing all of their stuff and it just is not being contained, there's cuts to it. It's insane. But then at the same time, like I feel like this is just the beginning of like us seeing a lot more of this in general. because
I've
there's
seen,
been a lot of gutting
yeah,
of programs like this, not just in California, but across the
sure,
entire country,
Right.
sure.
right? So like as more natural disasters happen, as the climate shifts back and forth in different ways, and it becomes a little bit more aggressive in either direction, we're going to start to get more like hurricanes like last year and fires like this year. And it would be in our best
Tornadoes,
interest to put a
earthquakes. Yeah.
lot of money towards protecting people and making sure that those things don't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But
I seen a deal with right away I Googled when I seen how big the fire was, and that one in Paradise not only killed
Oh,
85
Pacific
people.
Palisades. Yeah.
No, no, no.
there was a
Paradise.
Paradise Fire.
Paradise
Oh,
Fire
that was a while ago. Yes.
in 2018.
Right.
And
Right.
and get this, 85 people were killed, and 18,000 structures were burned. And so the crazy thing is, there was a picture in that one, which is, and we could change a little bit here, but it was crazy how they showed how bad the fire was, right? And there was these two houses that were side by side in Paradise that fire didn't do anything to them.
Hmm.
And so they actually went up to the guys afterwards. And he goes, "Oh," he says, "I knew this was going to happen." And he said, "So I did some research and cleaned up all my property around my home. And then the second thing I did is I put a different roof on and a different siding. I don't want to lose everything." And you sit there and go, "Okay, so here's one person that is aware, paying attention." And he's like, "Yeah, it's just a matter of time for this happening. Maybe I'll be preventive, do pre-maintenance, and maybe I'll act as if, so we always talk about that deal." And so then, what is it? Maui happens, and all the houses and the buildings are gone. And here's one guy's house sitting there. And he's like, they walk up to him and he's going like, "Yeah," he said, "the person was telling me that, that it would only cost me an extra $1,100 and I could use different siding and different roofing that would repel, ambers or fire and stuff." And I said, "$1,100? My family's worth that. My possessions." So
Yeah.
all the houses burn around his, and his is sitting there. Well, today I brought that up because they were showing that strip of all the homes that burned in Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And what's in the middle? This
The
White
White
House that
House.
wasn't touched. And I'm going like, okay, that guy went, well, if I'm going to knock this old house down, rebuild one. Wasn't there a bunch of homes that got burnt because ambers were coming from the Chinook winds at 100 miles an hour? So fire started in Simi Valley, and the embers were going in the air, catching that 100-mile-an-hour wind, and burned all these homes in Malibu. Yeah, that happened. I don't want that happening in my home. Is there some
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we could do? And it's like, yeah, we could definitely do this with the siding of the house, the roof of the house. And you hear about these embers that are going into these ventilation parts of the attic on these homes.
Yeah.
And I'm going, what, for a couple of $100 that those things could be changed to ones where amber can't get into your attic? I'll go like,
Well, I think one of the main issues with the United States in general is that we don't even think this way. You could take it to almost every area, like
yeah,
in the United States
Yeah.
no
government at
doubt,
this point.
no
And
doubt.
it's so frustrating because we are so much more a preventative force or not a preventative force, but a reactionary force than a preventative force in the
Yes.
United States. As a group of people in
Preach,
general, we
preach.
react to whatever is happening, but we don't prepare for it enough. And so when COVID came, we weren't prepared for that. And then now fires weren't prepared for that. Uh-oh, here comes hurricanes that hit the
Floods,
same spots every day or
floods,
every year.
hurricanes,
We're not
like,
prepared for that. Right.
Well, you
And you can
remember,
ask
Robert, when
yourself,
the company that you and I used to be involved with, where the whole idea was Eastern philosophy of medicine versus Western philosophy of medicine,
yeah,
where Eastern philosophy, they take care of themselves and know if something is wrong, they take care of it, as opposed to Western medicine, who's like, okay, when we get sick, then we'll take care of it. No, they're
right.
preventive.
yeah,
Yeah, how many people in the United States like do their annual checkups? Because I know for years I didn't, and finally now I'm like on my yearly annual checkups and stuff like that because it's like I feel like it's so uncommon to ask somebody, "Hey, when's the last time you like went to the doctor and just got checked up?" And they're like, "Are you kidding me?
Right.
I'm not spending $500 just to get looked at," or whatever it may be, right?
Well, like
Right.
Craig was talking, when you go to Eastern cultures,
Hmm.
it's an everyday all day thing. Their
Yes.
mentality, even Latinos, have a mentality that it's an everyday all day thing to protect your health. Why wouldn't you? And like you said, Matt, is like in America is like um I guess I'll stop smoking because I had a stroke.
Yeah.
No, maybe I won't. Maybe I
Hmm.
won't stop smoking because what's the
Well, it's that
hey
individuality and
it's
Yeah.
the chances of getting a stroke are 1 in 1 billion, but having two, that should be like nil. So I'll just keep destroying my body, drinking and smoking and
well, it's so
stressing
interesting
out.
because yeah, having family members that have had strokes from smoking, they're it just it doesn't get any better. Like
No,
there's not a time where you like flip over the other side and things are much better, right? And that's
when
the
you
difficulty
talk,
too, because I've lost a grandparent to lung cancer too. So because of that, you see that like once you've made those decisions and it's gotten to that point, you're kind of just trapped in a ride you can't escape. Like that's just the fear of it. And
Interesting.
that's it's interesting because that's a lot of things, right? Like
yeah,
we don't think too much about the level of damage that we're doing to our ecosystem or stuff like that through microplastics or the shit that we eat in our food and stuff. And that's banned in like pretty much every other country but this one. That's a
yep,
modern country, right? And those types of things only exist for profit. So
right.
talking about instead of being preventative and going, hey, we should have a regulated body that shows up that actually does some shit and gets rid of all these toxins that these other countries don't allow, so then we don't get sick so easily. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
There's got to be a reason why these other countries, these other peoples and cultures do that.
Well, it's because
And
there's
yeah,
they're not running off of a unfettered capitalistic system that
exactly.
has
Yeah.
no that requires consistent growth. So if you need consistent growth, or else the shareholders sell all of your stock and your company gets destroyed. Since you need consistent growth, it's probably in your best interest to make as much money as possible. Therefore, it's easier then to lobby against things being blocked that cut your profits, like high fructose corn syrup, severely
Yeah.
bad. We all know how bad it is. There's probably like 50 documentaries about how bad this shit is, and yet we
Yeah.
all probably consume it every single day in the United States, like every one of
Yeah.
us. So
Hey,
it's like,
Yeah.
did you guys hear that the guy that did the Big Mac documentary that he died of cancer?
no
Oh, that's
way.
right. Was
Oh
it
no, the
ate
super
at
size me
McDonald's?
guy.
All yeah, supersize me. That's what it was.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know a little bit more about that guy, but it's that whole documentary was kind of a sham. If you guys didn't know that.
What I mean, hey,
This Super Size Me documentary, not to say that it's healthy to eat McDonald's, is incredibly unhealthy to eat McDonald's, right? We all know that. But the dude was
allegedly,
also no,
allegedly.
it
No, I'm
is unhealthy. I don't have to say allegedly
Oh
because we have
no, there
science
goes my
behind
Big
it. So
Mac.
no, I'm going
Goes my
like
listen,
fries.
I hear
in
McDonald's
moderation, it's
Corporation.
bad.
I hear McDonald's
Or
Corporation
not
is
bad.
suing my son.
They're not gonna touch me. No, I'm a small fish in comparison to the other people that are saying this
I'm
shit.
just
No,
joking.
but the guy that did the documentary, he was dealing with a lot of shit mentally outside of that wasn't brought up. He was on again, off again alcoholic, and through the recording of Super Size Me, he was dealing with those addiction issues. So to say that a lot of the health stuff that happened to his body
Oh,
was specifically
gotcha.
McDonald's when you're drinking every day, alcohol is much worse than McDonald's. So
Yeah.
What
it's
you know isn't
Hey,
so.
they
When would
say
you like
alcohol
to
now is
know?
going to get warnings on it like tobacco. They
Oh yeah.
now,
yeah.
this, all the scientists that people believe in just figured out that alcohol is not good for you. I'm glad that they finally figured that out after all
Oh,
these
it's funny because it's like they all knew it was bad, but like how hard can you push against, like in another country, right? Not to say that they have a better system. But it's like, okay, so the government looks at something that's incredibly toxic and dangerous and goes, we need to slap a warning on this. And in the United
Tobacco.
States, in the United States, for that to happen, it has to go through all these regulative bodies and be voted on and be done that way. And there's lobbying and stuff to stop that from happening. And a lot of these companies have a lot of money, right? So like what ends up happening is like, hey, we should slap a big warning on the side of your Budweiser. And they're like, that ain't happening. Instead, we're gonna put the horses on there, block that shit up, and then we're good. People like the horses, they don't like the warnings. So
it is pretty interesting that I think well, Craig, you probably know this saying. It's supposed to be on some of our currency is Imperior Porium or something like that, where it's like buyer beware.
oh yeah.
E pluribus unum? Are you sure you're not confusing that?
It's something like that. Google it. It's like our American currency. What is the saying on American currency that says buyer beware? And I'm going like to think that, everyone that's got currency is like going, wait a minute, when I go to buy something, there's a warning on my money that says I should beware. I should beware of what I'm buying. It's like,
Oh, I don't want to go like full like Jim Carrey and say that we're all like stuck in some consumer thing because we all are.
yeah.
So it's like, it's the addiction to the ability. Like that's the thing. These fires are going to be massive and they're going to continue to be that way.
Oh,
And we're
yeah.
going to continue to have natural disasters. But what's fucking surprising to me is that Texas and all these country or states, I almost call it a country, right? All these states are going through natural disasters again with the winter storm, and they didn't prepare again from the last couple of times that they went
Yep.
through it.
Yeah.
And you have to
Yeah.
ask yourself, like, the hell are we paying for? Like, I'm confused now at
Yeah.
this point. If you're losing your property, if police aren't showing up, like in LA in specific, right? Like some people that live in LA can call the cops. Cops don't show up, right? For 30
Right.
minutes, 40 minutes. That could be a dire situation depending on what it
Oh,
is,
hell
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
By the
so,
way, oh, go ahead, Matt. Finish up.
no, go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say, Robert, you probably think of caveat emptor, let the buyer beware.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's not really much on currency like e pluribus unum is.
Oh,
Which means out of many one.
Exactly.
say that one again. What is it?
E pluribus unum.
It's Latin and it means out of many one.
Out of many ones, so it's only on the $1 bill?
No, I think it's on a.
It's on I
Probably.
think all the coinage
Dad,
and
you say
bills
this stupid
currency.
shit.
This is the
Yeah.
dad jokes, right? Out
It's
of
the
many
official
one.
motto
$1
of the
bill.
U.S.
Mm-hmm.
The phrase
What'd you
appears
say,
on the
Greg?
Well, it
gold seal
definitely-
of
it
the
definitely-
United States. Go
It
ahead.
feels that way now, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So yeah, I know when we get on podcasts, we talk about, all kinds of stuff because that's what people are talking about. And it's like I still watch myself really, really seeing how volatile or how gullible I can get, hearing different angles of what the hell's going on. It is very, very interesting that someone can take virtually any subject and match it to their narrative. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like the spin doctors of the world, that are trying to get the attention of certain viewers, certain, audience, whatever, that they can literally take anything and start changing the narrative about it. Like, you and there's a part of your brain that just goes, no, that can't be fucking right. So someone was saying that, that a majority of all these people's fire insurance was canceled 4 months ago.
Mhm.
I'm like-
Right.
I'm going, what? And all the companies that stopped people's fire insurance was because of the state of California, that the insurance companies said it's not cost prohibitive for them to have insurance there. I'm going like, wait a minute. Isn't there laws that say that if you own a home and you're paying a mortgage, you have to have insurance?
Oh
So I'm
yeah,
like,
there
Yeah,
it
but
is.
not all of it is fire because they
what's
know
this
that the
fucking
fire, right?
this fucking game that's going
Well,
on?
then they're going to
Yeah.
say that that when there's a natural disaster, oh, we don't cover earthquakes,
Yeah.
or we don't cover Santa Ana winds. No, no,
A
no.
hurricane, that
Or
hurricane doesn't
hurricanes,
come.
exactly.
Hurricanes don't come to North and South Carolina. We're not covering that shit.
Uh,
Right. No, and I was
yeah,
gonna say, like in this day and age too, guys, like if I was telling Hannah this because it just blows my mind, right? I just generated these pictures in 2 seconds. So I don't know if you guys can see these.
Yeah.
yeah.
So on
I
the
focused up
internet,
on it.
yeah, on the internet in general, I've seen posts on X and on Facebook and on Reddit of people going, the Hollywood sign is burning down, it's on fire. And there's been pictures of the Hollywood sign burning down on fire, and people believe that this is happening.
Sure.
All of those, that it's not even close to that happening, at least yet. But it's because people can AI generate pictures of the Hollywood stuff on fire, and I could animate these and make it really look like the Hollywood sign is on fire, right?
That was a
And
great segue to AI, by the way.
well, I was gonna say, and it's an example. It's an example of the world we're moving into, right?
Yeah.
Where like if I'm living in California and they tell me a winter storm is happening and that New York has no power, right? And then they
Right.
show me a bunch of video of that being the case, and then I go, holy shit. And I get on the internet and I start posting everywhere and even like politicizing it and going, see, now the Hollywood sign is on fire or New York's out of
Right.
power or whatever, right? I could pick Texas as an
How many
example.
people share it? You know what I mean?
Right, a lot.
They wouldn't
A
even
lot.
do, yeah, millions. There was
How do you know that? That's, your book. How do you know
yeah.
that? And
Right.
people need to take advantage or to look at that and say, is it true or not? I don't know how many times I've had people say things to me that I look at and go,
It's
I'm calling bullshit on this. Let me
like
Right.
check to make sure.
it touches a nerve. And then me and Matt had a great
Yeah,
Zoom
like
the other
hours
day.
yesterday we were
Yeah.
talking.
And we're, Matt, just turned, 33. And it's
Yay.
funny. Yeah, and it's funny for him that I'm trying to remember when I got into this, but Matt is really coming to the point of you know, virtually everything is out of my control except my emotions. And why do I give a fuck what everybody thinks and what everybody says I should do or not do? So, I was telling him about
Yeah.
that book. Mel Robbins right now has got one of the hottest books out there, and it's just like, let them,
Yeah, let them
Hmm.
let them.
free.
And the first time that someone said this to me, I don't remember what it was, but it was some kind of disaster that sort of shook me a little bit, and the person said to me, well, why don't you Google how many people die in a day? And I was sort of surprised because that number's gone down. It used to be over 200,000. Now it's 175,000, which is sort of an interesting thought, just that.
Hey, we're saving 30,000 people a day.
Yeah. But when you start thinking, okay, so 125,000 people die a day. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's a disaster that people lose things and their houses are flood takes it and disappears. There was a big flood not too far away from our house here in Billings, and it was like in Red Lodge, and just a way too much water came out of the mountain just faster than it normally does. So it just
Hmm.
takes out a bunch of bridges and a bunch of roads that went into Yellowstone, and water started to build up, and then it took out houses, and houses were going down the Yellowstone River. And it's like it took out a railroad bridge, which was pretty big deal. And
Yeah.
and
Out there it would be for
yeah,
sure.
and it's like people
A
are
lot of
like,
the stuff is moved through trains. So it's
fuck
like,
yeah,
yeah, you drive through there, it's like I don't know, I love those drives like up to Red Lodge and up to
yeah,
Bozeman because you're driving through Montana and there's just trees and it's just beautiful, you know what I mean? In the
Yeah.
summertime, especially. And then you're going up these passes and stuff, and you'll see like trains going by and they're little go under the mountains and stuff. And you're like, holy shit, is this like a dream? Like, this is amazing.
The
Yeah,
road
and
going up to Vegas from Southern California, you got that train that kind of travels
Right.
right along Highway 15 as you're coming around the corner into the upper desert, the high
Yeah.
desert area.
Yeah, and there's
same thing. Or yeah,
yeah, and I remember before and after pictures of Red Lodge. You know what I mean? Because the freaking flood went right down Main Street, man. It just just diverted instead of going around Red Lodge, it went around like it normally does, but then water got so big that it went through. And you look before and after pictures of that area, and you're just like, man, I've been there so many times, and it's like it doesn't look.
I'm looking
like,
it up right now because it's
Oh,
like,
are
oh
you
shit.
really?
Yeah, the amount of times we've been there is like nuts. You
well,
know?
the
Yeah.
other thing too is you build something like a road, like a railway, or even a bridge. Remember, I think it was Baltimore, the bridge that got hit by that tanker
That was
collapsed, and the left side couldn't get a hold of the right side. They just, and it was down for about a month and a half, something like that, probably longer because we're talking about a bridge underwater.
I thought
You
the
know-
bridge was still not done.
It's done now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, as far as I know, if somebody is looking, but no, it actually they did complete it, but it was down and it totally disrupted. You know, you rely on stuff like that. So can you imagine? All right, when like what is it? When 9/11 happened,
Yeah.
and you had the Twin Towers go down, how many of the people in that area just thought, oh, there's the Twin Towers, okay, whoa, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, all of life gets totally disrupted.
Crazy.
Well, it's crazy because people just forget. Like they go from one thing to the other, and our attention spans are so like our care and understanding now is so small. And if you think that you genuinely like really do care about this stuff, start journaling and writing down when you start freaking out about it, and then go back 3 weeks later and see that you don't even think about that anymore most of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about new stuff, not your life,
No.
because obviously in your life you're gonna keep thinking about
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But
But
you
even
know,
then,
a few
in your
weeks
life
ago,
too.
yeah, a few weeks ago, we had another terrorist attack. Someone drove
New
over a bunch of
Orleans.
people in New Orleans. Now we're talking about the fires. We're not talking about terrorist attacks anymore.
No.
So it's like it's crazy how fast it happens, but that shift, the news just shifts from one thing to the other, one disaster to the other, and kind of just drops the other one. We never really get any updates, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking the other day, I'm like, the Trump assassination. Whatever
What?
came of that?
What? Did that really happen?
Like you'd think if
I thought that was a
president of the
conspiracy
United
theory.
States,
Hey, I got to
if
be
the
careful.
president of the United States was
I got to
also
be
almost
careful. I'm joking.
assassinated.
I'm joking. It really happened.
Yeah, no, it did really happen. But
Yeah.
it's insane to me. You know, you think you'd have committees and we know a lot about this shit and stuff like that, but people kind of just dropped it and moved on, right? And it's like to think we live in a day and an age where former soon to be another president of the United States was almost assassinated and the American population just forgot and didn't care anymore.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Like,
here's something
that's crazy to
crazy.
me.
Here's something crazy. Today, I heard
I guess
yesterday.
because it's Trump. That
Yeah,
could be a
yeah.
reason.
Yeah, well, yeah.
well,
I
you
mean,
know.
everything's changed in that regard.
Yeah.
go
So,
ahead.
so the Supreme Court ruled yesterday in an emergency ruling that Trump can get sentenced. And so we had
For
a guy
today, right?
today.
Earlier
A
today.
guy did 35 or 38 felonies, and he was sentenced today to nothing.
Yeah.
Special
Why?
dispensation because he is becoming
sentenced-
president.
I
Never
got-
mind that
I got-
no one is equal above. No, everyone's equal in the law.
I got
yeah.
one. I got one class C, not a B or an A. I got a C class C felony. Got sentenced to 5 years in federal penitentiary with 3 suspended, 2 to serve. And this guy gets 35. And it's like, hey,
And
I guess-
yours was just a truck. And you were out to party with booze. And this is a guy who literally, I mean, if the conviction is correct, it was money laundering, I think.
No, it was funny because this is the different thoughts of it, right? Because the two different thoughts of it, all the things that he got nailed for was him over appraising his properties. So each property individually, that if he said that it was worth, if it was really worth 5 million, he was saying it was worth 10 million. Now, here's where people on the Republican side went, what? So the banks make the decision what something is valued that they give you a loan on. And then he not only got all these loans and insurance on all this stuff, but he paid them all off. And people were going like, what did he do again?
Well, it's like the classic, right? Like I've seen so many millennials and younger do this. Some of you boomers might be like, I've done shady shit like that or whatever, but okay, so I need 3 times the income to get into this apartment. Right? But yet the cost is half my income because it's like I can't afford to live here. And so what do? You lie about your income on the thing because guess what? They're lying about their shit too. So everyone's lying to each other.
The house that I'm in.
As long as you make a payment.
Yeah. The house that I'm in would have been a part of that the big burst. And I remember this like yesterday. Me and Terry went in, talked to this loan agent, and he basically said, looked at our credit score, everything. And he looked at me and he went, so are you saying that you're making this, but really you're making this? It's like that lawyer kind of bullshit talk, right?
Yes.
And I'm going,
double speak.
Yeah. And then he goes, do you have any money down? And I went, no. And he goes, no big deal. We could just give you 110% on the property because they allowed people to do that. And he goes, we'll give a second loan so you can cover the down payment. Do you know how illegal that is today?
Oh, that's what got us in trouble with
2008.
If you filled out,
that's exactly.
Yeah, when you fill out a form, when we did a second mortgage on this place, there's now refinance this place, which by the way, caught it perfect. We're like nothing for a percentage. It's like 2.6.
No, I remember that. That was like right before the economy started to.
Yeah, I was like, my mind was going. They're going. Listen, I don't think we'll ever see this low of mortgage payments ever. And I went, I'll take it. And it's like, but you had to swear under oath in a notary that there wasn't already another loan on this property. Because think about it, you're not supposed to get a loan on something that you already have a loan on.
Right.
But back then, it's like, hey, we'll give you a loan for furniture. We'll put it on the property. We'll give you a down payment. We'll put it on the property. And it's like,
now they're not thinking about getting loans for houses. It's getting loans for dominoes. You know what I mean? Because times are dire.
But like you said, Matt,
Peter in the chat just said falsifying business records. So thank you for clarifying that, Peter.
Yeah. And so, it's like everybody's going, well, you can get a bigger loan if you make the value worth more. And it's like, all right, and it's like everybody does it. I don't think that makes it legal.
Yeah.
No, but it fits in that same realm. Like if you have somebody that plays the system very well, like Donald Trump, right? If you have somebody that plays the system very well and you have a bunch of other people that respect somebody that can play the system that way, then you're just going to get your respect.
Yeah.
Which is, like someone like all these dudes that showed up and gave him money for his inauguration that we're going to have here in a little bit, right?
Tax write-off.
Yeah. Zuckerberg, Musk. Bezos. Yeah.
Tax write-off. It's like, yeah. If I want to be on the list, I want to get on the plaque that says I gave over $1 million. So when he thinks
they just don't want to not be the person to give $1 million. That's the thing.
Yeah, because of what the consequences could be if something happens.
That first $1 million broke the barrier, and then it was like, if I don't give this dude $1 million, then where am I?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And I only have 100 billion. So what's $1 million? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I always thought that if you're a public servant and you get money from someone for anything, then you could be biased, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Matt said this to me. I don't know if he remembers. I know he's going to remember he said this, but we live in a really unique time where all the people that are doing the stuff they're not supposed to used to do it under the table. And Matt was going, when you see what people are doing today, the politicians, all this negative stuff we hear, it's like they're just wide openly doing it.
Yeah, you can openly joke about
how many people
turning
are pissed
Canada
off?
into a state or whatever, and it doesn't matter anymore. We
Well,
live
yeah,
in a
and then you
different
get
zone.
and then you get the people that, well, that's my guy, so they get the, it's
Yeah.
like, and so I'll never forget when all of a sudden the election's over, and the reports were that the Democratic Party went through like $2.5 billion in the short time that Kamala was in there. And then it showed all the money where it all went. And the people were like, well, she was trying to win. It was like,
Right.
what would you do if you were trying to win the presidency? Hire Oprah for 10 million? Hire Beyonce for,
Yeah, you kind of have an infinite budget. And like that's the thing is like everybody doesn't think about this. And rarely do I. Um, but this frame of mind that like the people that are doing something that you see as bad, they probably don't see it that same way. And like we don't, it's
Good
so
point.
interesting because if you're Kamala and everybody around you is telling you that Donald Trump is the Antichrist, whatever, right? You know, like that's severe, right? Now it starts to make a lot of sense that any amount of money or time or energy that you have to spend to defeat this force is worth it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting
Good
because
point.
the
Great
exact
point.
same conversation happens on the other side.
Sure.
If we don't buckle down, and Elon had it on Joe Rogan's podcast and all this shit, right? And same with Trump, where they went, if you guys don't go out and vote for us, this country's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're screwed.
That's
And
definitely
so,
fear mongering for sure, man.
right. And so since you have that, it's like in their minds, in Trump's mind and in Elon's mind and these other people's minds, they possibly think that they're doing the best thing that they can. But the reality is that like it's for whatever side you're on, right? So
Yeah. It was funny.
either way, I'm just along for the ride. It's not a like you said earlier, I know I'm not in control of the controls.
Me and Matt were talking about that Mel Robinson book, it's like let them,
I got it. I'm gonna read it. So
yeah, people just get caught up in all the stuff that's not in their control. And when you realize how much stuff you actually get upset at, or even, because it's like a yin and yang, isn't it? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It's like people all of a sudden, I know there's a group of people on the planet that see the destruction happen in an area, and they're like, those people deserved it.
Oh,
well, yeah, the
gosh,
people from
yes.
Texas are like, finally something happens to LA, and then the people from LA are like, yeah, totally stuff's happening into Texas. You know what I mean? Because it's like the opposite shit. It's so dumb.
Robert,
But
you've
yeah.
brought up the strangest secret before. It's like we become what we think about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's positive or negative. And I totally agree with that because you control your own life, your own self. You don't, if you don't put the control on your own self and you're so into others, what's going to happen to you?
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
you got, two groups of people that we know that are in every destruction. Every destruction. It's like you walk up to the person, they're like, I got my dog and my wife. My kids don't live around here. I can rebuild everything. In fact, I was sort of sick and tired of this area, and I was thinking about selling my house. Now I can just sell the land and start over. And you're just like, how can someone not just give a shit about that? And then the other people that are mentally devastated for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, well, I've seen
You know
it.
what I
Like
mean?
imagine
It's
you
like,
built a house. I saw this couple, right? And they're sitting out there and they're like, we've had this house for 25 years. We raised our kids in this house. We've had birthdays, Christmases. Every Christmas has been in this house, family Christmas. My
it's like
kids
50
played in the
some odd
yard as they
years,
grew up. Yeah. And so you see these people and they're devastated because they know every neighbor around and everything, and they've had
Yeah.
this ecosystem that now no longer exists. Every house is gone. And then you hear, right? Like it's not like the fire went, okay, now these people are doing well, let's get them now. It's like, no, these people, she's sitting there and she's going, my husband's still in the car. He can't even get out because he's on his third set of chemo. So these people just lost their house, all their possessions, and he's going through his third set of chemo.
And
And you're just going like,
nowhere to
Jesus,
go.
man, and nowhere to go. They're staying in a hotel.
Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. So, well, it's going to be interesting to find out if these people actually get more help than the people in the Carolinas. You know what I mean? Because I just remember you always heard two stories about them. You know,
The
like
FEMA
like
thing, yeah.
like all of a sudden, you know, that lady that was the head of FEMA, and she says, "Oh, by the way, if you see any Trump signs, just skip that house. They don't need any help."
Which
That's
was
crazy.
untrue anyway. But I mean,
Yeah,
but again, that's that's what we're talking about is, what is the ecosystem that we belong to?
Right.
Are we red? Are we blue? And
Neither.
why can't we be purple? And then how do
Hey,
you know that?
my favorite color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's not. It's interesting because one of the things that me and my dad probably talk about the most is like through the years is perception and the way that people see things
Oh my
and
gosh.
perceive them, and how one thing can be one way for somebody and one thing can be the other for someone else. And to visualize that opposite person's thoughts is one of the greatest superpowers you can develop in
It
life.
is. It is.
Yeah.
And we've heard about,
Like think outside your mind,
walk a mile in somebody else's shoes is
Right.
I totally changing subject if you guys don't mind. I watched like half of Joe Rogan's podcast with Mel Gibson, and I have never seen an interview with Mel Gibson, and I'm like, that guy's on a different planet. I had no clue the research and the stuff that he's done and the places that he's gone and the things that he finances and stuff. So he was telling Joe Rogan, he just whips up the name of this city, and I don't remember it. And Joe Rogan asked the guy to pull it up. And he was saying that there's a structure that they've found in this country, in this city, that the structure is so big that you could fit the Egyptian pyramids inside of it. And they just found it, and now they're digging around it and stuff, and they're going like, and Joe Rogan's going, what? He goes, well, people look at the Egyptian pyramids and still in their minds going, who created that? Man could never ever do that, even in this day and age. And now they found a structure that's like 10 times bigger than that. And so then Joe Rogan brought up this thing that a bunch of archaeologists now said that there was a city in the Amazon that at one time there wasn't no Amazon forest, that it was a city, and they believed that it had a little over 10 million people in that city. And no one knows what happened to it. So it's like once disease or whatever totally took everyone out, it's like no one wanted to go back there. So the Amazon River and the forest and everything just makes it look
Just
like
takes a
it's
couple
never,
hundred
never,
years.
never
Right.
existed. Just
Well, I
Well, you
remember
see
there's
these
this
people that
show.
go to different locations because they look on Google Maps and they see something on Google Map at this location that looks like, wait a minute, what is this? Does that look like an airplane or a building in the middle of this area that doesn't even exist? Or even the movie Sahara, if you remember that, where they found the ship embedded in a sand dune in the Sahara that was filled with millions of dollars, but everybody thought, no, 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 this is stupid. This is stupid. This is stupid. And I'm talking about the movie now. I don't know if it's true or not, but in that movie, they go and they search it, they find it, and then they reap the benefits from it.
But he was talking. He was talking about all kinds of stuff. Man,
Yeah.
they were going in every direction, and the stuff that was coming out of Mel Gibson's mouth, I was like going, "Wow," And the only other thing is he does some of the stuff that Elon Musk did. Like if you brought something up during him telling you something, he immediately would just stop and he goes, "Wow, I've never heard of that. Can you tell me more about that?" And I'm always blown away with someone's ability not only to have a lot of knowledge, but you can constantly see them that they're a knowledge seeker.
Curiosity.
Yeah, very great, perfect, Matt.
Hmm.
Yeah. So as soon as you go, "Wow, that sounds familiar to this," and they're like, "Yeah, what? Tell me a little more about that."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh yeah," so not too many people. I've only seen two people that have engaged Joe Rogan that way. And it's like you would think that Joe Rogan wouldn't know stuff that Elon Musk doesn't know. But Elon Musk, it seems like he's just as fascinated by Joe Rogan as
Oh yeah. God, there's so many. It's funny because I'm in like the gaming world too, because I grew up playing video games. And man, there's a lot of shit happening with Elon Musk over there right now. Not to say, you know what I mean? Like basically he did a live stream to like 1 million people on X playing this game called Path of Exile, which is like it's a new big game, right? I don't play
Okay.
it, but it's a big game. And he's supposedly ranked like 8th in the world. Remember, he played this other game, he was ranked #1 in the
Diablo or
world.
whatever. Yeah.
Diablo 4, right? So he streamed playing this game for like an hour on X the other day. And it was so incredibly obvious to everybody that's played the game that he did not level this character and has never played this game that it immediately made everybody go, he's been lying about every single thing that he's done in video games.
Oh, you catch somebody lying once, and
Well, it was
they
severe. Like this dude did
yeah,
not know. He did
yeah,
not know how to play the game, but yet his character was a character that would have taken 1,000 hours to get to,
right.
right?
Kyle told me
So
about that. Kyle,
yeah, and so that
Kyle was
blew up
saying
like
that
yesterday and the other day, and I'm
he was
like, oh,
bragging about some kind of armor or a glove that he had, and everybody in the game was going, "You get that at level 50. You don't need to be a
no, it was
good
the
player."
opposite, Dad. It was
Oh,
worse. So it was opposite, right? Because if you've gotten to that end part of the game, you would know like the back of your hand because you spent 1,000 hours doing these types of things. So he's scrolling through his gear, and I don't know any of this shit because I haven't played the game, but I know enough
right.
about video games, right? So he's looking at the items and he's going, I'm level 90 and I'm wearing a level 60 chest. And people that have played the game are going, the chest piece that he's wearing is the best chest piece in the entire game. Of course it's level 60 because that's when you can use it. This game doesn't work like Diablo does, where like the lower the level of the thing is, the worse it is. Path of Exile doesn't work that way. It's you can use this at 60, but it's
I
good forever,
I
right?
I sort of
And he did not
love.
know that, but if
Yeah.
you played the game for 1,000 hours and were ranked 8th in
Yeah.
the world, you would absolutely know that.
I
So,
really love when people get caught, exaggerating.
well,
Uh,
there was like, yeah,
yeah,
there's
it's
this
like
one quote from this one guy where he was like, um, some computer scientist, very well known one. And he said, when I first talked to Elon, he was sharing all this stuff about electric cars, and I was blown away. And I went, this guy's a genius. He's like, then I met him again, and he was talking about rockets. And I went, holy shit, how does this guy know about all this stuff with electric cars and rockets? This guy's a genius. He said, and then he bought Twitter and he started talking about programming, and I realized this guy has no idea about any of this shit. 'Cause I'm a programmer, and I know what he's saying is bullshit. And so he's like,
there's
so
a
then I went to a couple of my friends, right? A couple of my friends and went, hey, is this rocket shit that he's talking about and this electric car shit accurate? And they went, it's such surface level information. It's just stuff to impress people that don't know what they're talking about.
yeah.
It wouldn't impress somebody that's in developing electric cars or in developing rockets, right?
When
And it's like
Which is
interesting
why
when
he
you start
has
to think
other
about
people
that.
do it in the
yeah.
tech departments so that he can benefit from it and say, "See, I know this. I did this. I did
The
that."
the problem with knowledge is when you gather knowledge and then you realize that the people that are in the top 1% of knowledge don't know what they're talking about. It's like me, my gift and knowledge has always been about automobiles. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So then I'm sitting around a group of people that are fucking mechanics that have jobs. Their people are paying them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden someone says, well, my biggest joke always was people will go, well, what kind of cam do you have in that motor? And they go a 3/4 cam. And that is not how you measure cams. Everything about a cam is measured in degrees. Lift in degrees. What degree does it open? What degree does it close? How much is the lift? And so when people said 3/4, it was usually always talking about V8 motors, right? And so they go, I got a 3/4 cam. And I go, wow, how does the other 2 cylinders work?
Yeah, you're like, you lost me and Craig. No,
Yeah. No,
but anyone that knows,
we understand what he's
right?
saying,
Yeah,
right?
no, I know what you're saying.
But my point is when you hear, how many people talk shit that just don't know at all.
Professional
but they're doing
bullshitters.
exactly what Craig is talking about. They have this surface amount of knowledge where I believe that was either Brendan Burchard or maybe it was Gary Vaynerchuk that said making money is the easiest thing in the world. And he goes, let me prove it to you. He goes, you find the 3 top books on every subject. He goes, do you know that I made my father a millionaire and I gained my success because I was doing wine videos? I know nothing about fucking wine. He goes, so I read the 3 best books on wine, the ones that Amazon had the most reviews and also the most sales, the most book sales. He goes, I got those 3 books. I read all 3 books twice.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know more than 99% of the fucking people on the planet.
Well, yeah, people see it as like magic, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. And the confidence of the person goes a long way, like their confidence in that.
Yeah.
There's this syndrome that exists called the Nobel syndrome. Do you guys know about this?
No, please.
Basically, when someone, Craig, do you know?
No, go ahead. I'm interested. I'm sure it has something to do with the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, Nobel Prizes in general. Basically, when someone wins a Nobel Prize, they become highly susceptible to something called Nobel syndrome. Now, Nobel syndrome means that they overestimate their intelligence in fields that they did not win their Nobel Prize in. So then they go at
makes sense. Totally
so then
makes
they
sense.
go at things going, well, dude, I'm one of the smartest people on the planet. Of course, if I think about something else, I'm going to come to the conclusion better than that. So they have this overconfidence and they start to fall for conspiracy theories and things. And so this is how you have someone that's a Nobel laureate talking about conspiracy theories and they're on these videos, right? And under it, it says won a Nobel Prize, but they're like, it's in physics and they're talking about agriculture or something. You know what I mean? You're like, what the hell? They're like confident about themselves.
You know, it should be another one.
This is Elon Musk and like every politician and
got it. Here's another one.
They're good at doing that.
Best-selling author.
Oh yeah, right.
Gotta be another
Robert,
one.
you're a best-selling author.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because best-selling author. What even does that mean? Like, what's the numbers for that?
Hey, I sold more books to the people that were my friends on social media. So that makes me a best-selling author. It's like,
yeah.
No.
Well, there's this saying, right? Sorry, there's this saying that even it brought up what you said. James Cameron has this saying, the filmmaker James Cameron. And he said, all you need to be, everybody's like, oh, well, I'm not a filmmaker. He's like, get a camera, go shoot some shit, and then try to sell it. Sell it for $1. He's like, once you sell it for $1, you're a filmmaker. After that, you're just negotiating your price from that moment on.
I've told people
it's like interesting because like that's the mentality, right?
I've told this story from day one, even before being in marketing, is I go, here's the definition of a professional. Just bottom line. A professional is someone that's doing something that their lifestyle is covered by the amount of money that they make doing that. So if you're a professional rock skipper and people are asking you to come on their podcast and you get in a documentary for skipping rocks and you get paid when everyone else that skips rocks doesn't get paid and you don't have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning to go to a fucking job because you're skipping rocks, you are a fucking professional.
Mm-hmm.
So people go, that person's a network marketing pro.
No, yeah, you can just call yourself whatever you want. Like that's
Yeah.
you could
So
say you know more about nuclear weapons than any other person on the planet. You could say that.
Yeah.
And you could say that and it could only get you the strongest position in the entire planet.
have
So
you guys seen
when
this
I
one?
saw shit like that, I was like, dude, anything's possible. Realistically,
Everything,
that's what I
anything.
thought. Like it's weird because a
Right.
lot of people went, "Holy shit, this is bullshit" and everything like that. But my mentality went, dude, if this guy can do this, what can I do?
That
You know what
that
I
has
mean? Like
always
that's the
been
way I
me,
think.
Matt. If
Mhm.
if the universe allowed that gene to pass through me to you, that's my magic. My magic is I look at somebody and I see them doing something and I'm going like, and my mind even does that step. If they can do it, I can do it. But here's what my mind also does is my mind immediately reduces to the ridiculous. So I'm going like, well, what the fuck does that guy make? Oh, he makes $10 million a year. And I'm going, I could do a tenth of that.
Yeah.
I don't even have to be as good as him and the kind of income that I can make from that. So that's my little stupid imagination thing that I do to myself
No, I
to
think that's great. And I do think you passed that on to me.
trick myself. Here's another subject before we go.
Sure.
This meme has been going around, and I just want you guys to tell me yours.
Okay.
So 5 presidents show up for the funeral, right?
Hmm.
And you see these interactions going on, and people are like, wait a minute, everyone's fighting each other, but these guys just seem like they're buddies.
Oh,
All
Trump
right,
and
And
so
Obama.
Obama.
Yeah.
you see Bush walk by Obama, he's standing up. We're talking about the most powerful fucking people in the world. And when Bush walks by him, he gives him a little shot in the stomach.
Yeah.
He just like
Right.
with his back of his fist just hits him in the stomach, and Obama giggles a little bit, and he goes down and sits down. And then during a funeral of a president, Obama and Donald Trump are fucking telling jokes and shit and fucking laughing at each other's shit. And
Well, it's
people are
what
going
Jimmy
like,
Carter would have wanted, you guys.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
That's the
And
thing is
I
like everybody politicizes it, but when I saw that shit, my mind immediately went to what a great space for Jimmy Carter's funeral to be. Because if you guys knew Jimmy Carter or a little bit of shit about him,
yeah,
that dude had such like a heart of gold that
yeah.
like I think he would want everybody laughing and being together at his funeral
Well,
instead
it's
of them.
Well, you
obvious when
notice
you
that the cameras were on them, and a lot of the commentators, if you watch them on YouTube, are saying, oh, "What are they talking about? Oh my God!" Or
yeah,
somebody just dissed, like, what is it? Mike Pence's wife
yeah,
didn't even
Karen.
stand up for when Trump passed. Trump and Melania passed.
Well, that's
She
where the
just kind
phrase Karen came from. No, I'm kidding.
No, but I mean, and then you've got this one picture that's going around where it's from, there's a pillar on the side, and you see all the presidents but Trump.
Because
And
he's blocked by the
it's,
pillar or some shit.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
They took the camera so that the pillar blocks Trump, and so now you've got that going around, and let's get
and
whatever views
and
that we can, just so that
like
we can
Matt said,
cause.
so then his grandson gets up and does part of the eulogy, and you immediately see the spirit of the man come through his grandson.
Yeah.
So he's standing up there going, my phone rings and I pick it up and I go, what's going on? And he's going, I didn't call you. I'm taking a picture. And so, you know, if he came from a more serious mentality, you would have seen it through the people that
His
were
family.
family, right?
Hmm.
Right.
But the family's all, yeah. There was
You guys
a,
ever see Jimmy Carter talk about his wife? Like, oh my God,
oh
his
my
family life?
God,
Like
the letters that he wrote to Rosalind
Oh
and stuff like
yes.
that.
incredible. Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the things that Jimmy Carter, they've quoted him as saying this many, many, many times in private conversations, was um, he's like, I still don't understand why people make such a big deal out of me.
Humble man.
Just his constant thoughts were, so everybody shuts up when I walk in a room and everyone separates. And it's like, I work on a peanut farm. You know what I mean? I just don't fucking get it. And they were always saying that he was always sort of, uh, just confused or didn't understand why people made such a big deal out of him. And then the thing that stopped him from getting elected actually came to pass like weeks after. So he wasn't able to negotiate, getting all these people from the Iran deal,
Yeah.
and all these hostages. And so he doesn't win the presidency. And then like weeks or even days after he wasn't elected, it happened. You know what I mean? And I'm going like, so the very most negative thing that they were saying about him, still was resolved after he left, and not years after he's left. It's obvious that the negotiations that were going on that he did to try to get those hostages, American hostages, back, happened within days or weeks after he didn't win the election.
Right.
But people are like, geez, we don't need a leader that can't negotiate with a country to get Americans back.
It's just the media again, you know what I mean? It's like if the
Totally.
media
Totally.
shows up and tells you, it's kind of like, okay, I knew Joe Biden was going to drop out the moment the media started talking about him in a negative light.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no way they're not going to get rid of him if this isn't, you know what I mean? Like that's my initial thought, because I'm going, if the media doesn't want him, then we're screwed. You know what I mean?
Influence, yeah.
Yeah, and so so then going back full circle, it is pretty obvious what's going to happen to Newsom and this mayor, because the media is on them like stink on shit, man.
Yeah.
When the
Well, it's because the media has shifted now that they know that Donald's going to be president again. Like,
trying to get in the good
just like
graces
Facebook
of
has.
the Donald.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
independent media supposedly not even going to go there. Not even going to go there. And that's where you have, well, look at Facebook in that they're removing fact checking now.
Now, AI is good enough.
Well, like you said, I was just going to bring that up, Matt, is that, you've said that AI will supposedly do that, but the problem is, and we've discussed it here, is, okay, so then, but what AI are they going to use to take care of that, if that's what they're going to do?
Oh, now they're going to community notes.
What's that?
AI will still have a large amount of influence.
You don't know what that is, Craig?
No, community notes. Like X?
Everybody checks everybody, like Wikipedia. But then if you post something on there that's incorrect, then you have to try to get it off. It's like
no. Their whole goal with community notes is not getting it off. It just allows anybody to go in there and basically with their facts totally throw off what you're saying. So
the sky is orange, in other words, according to the way I see it.
I'm willing to say that I figured out, the best that I want to YouTube. I know I'm going to get it better, but now I want to be one of the people that are going to make an impact for people on X. I always look at the thing that no one else is doing, right? And so the thing that I'm not saying positive or negative about X, all you got to do is look to see how much they've grown in the last 2 years. And so I want to be around a bunch of optimistic people that want the best. Now, I know there's negative people there, but like one of the things that I seen immediately, since I'm a premium member with Community Knows, is this person posted a picture, conspiracy bullshit, and he said, here's the 3 fires that happened in Southern California, and you'll notice they all start at the same time. And right underneath there was a community note and said, these were these fires that were done in 2014. It's like, so, you look at it, you see what they say, and then there's a note underneath there. That's a fucking lie. It's like, it immediately, for me, it immediately goes, oh, instead of a bunch of dog piling. Me and Matt were talking a little bit about this because I don't know a lot about Reddit, but, you either get thumbs up or thumbs down. You make a post on Reddit and everybody says that's bullshit, but I understand that it could just be from them not liking you. Because
Right.
when Matt told me that, here's
They don't
another,
agree with you, you know?
yeah, me and Matt were talking about this with free speech, Craig. Here's something. Think about this. As an entrepreneur in the field that I do, social media is basically said because we're corporate people that came from colleges and we know more than you, the way that you make money is not a good way of making money. Affiliate marketing, network marketing, crypto, whatever. And I think it's hilarious that I've been able to watch in the last 5 years that all the people that were against crypto is not against crypto.
Yeah.
All right. So times are changing, right? So I was telling Matt, when it comes to free speech, when are they going to be at a place where I say, hey, listen, I've helped 67 people make over $1 million in commission of my knowledge. And why I know that is because these people have reached out to me. There's people that I've mentored and taught and got into this profession that their companies have made billions of dollars. How many people can say, hey, they didn't even know about this industry until I talked to them, and then I moved into their apartment and taught them how to do it, and then their company's 29 years old and done $6 billion. You know, it's like, come on. But yet there's a group of people that went to college and got degrees that turned their nose up to the ways that some people make money. Is that free speech?
It's censorship.
It's censorship.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's like, that's not free speech. No. I get it. If someone said, I think that you could make money this way, and I've always treated it like court, you know, unfortunately, or fortunately, got some experience there, right? But all of a sudden they go, well, I want to call my witness for the prosecution. I'm bringing up Craig Jackman, you know, and he's a well-known expert of da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then as soon as I bring you up and they swear you in, the defense gets to say, Craig, why are you an expert? Can you share with the jury what you've done? What's your documentation that beats conversation? And when they get done with you, the jury and the people that are sitting in the audience are going, this fucking guy I'm listening to. Or why is this fucking dude here?
Right.
Now, I believe, like any kind of sport or anything, right? If someone says, well, listen, I'm teaching a basketball camp. And it's like, well, what did you do? Well, you know, a funny joke here, you guys. There was a guy recently, a comedian, and these two guys asked him, were you into sports in school? And he goes, yeah, but, you know, I ended up getting cut from my team. And one guy just said straight out going, how big was your school? What was your graduating class? And he said 53. The guy goes, how did you get cut? Half of those people are women. It's like, how good do you have to be if you were competing against 25 guys? It's like, you really suck. But wouldn't it be neat if you said to someone, because I have that. I lettered in sports, but I was only one of two white guys that were playing on an Indian reservation. It's like, I had like 50 people in my class. So to go, oh, I lettered in every sport. Yeah, because there's 10 guys playing in that sport.
You and all of them.
Yeah.
We couldn't play 11-man football. For smaller schools, there's 9-man football.
Right.
And I played defense and offense.
No breaks for you. Yeah.
It's like, hey, you could be a pretty star athlete if there's no other one to compete against you in here.
Right.
Hey, shout out to Trenton, North Dakota, buddy. my poor sons have had me watch me drive by there, and hey, two times usually a year, it's like, hey, I went to that little school right there.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny because anytime we would go there, you'd always have memories with stuff like that.
But I brought all that stuff up to just say, you know, when people say that they're experts at something, you know, there's still people that feel like free speech is what? You know, there's a group of people that feel like they went to college and got educated, and then you find out later that a lot of the self-made multimillionaires didn't graduate from college. Only for one reason. It's not beating up education. That's what people that are educated believe that those people are doing. They, during their education, went, you know what? Got my focus, got my imagination on what I want to fucking get done. I'm doing this. And now that it starts working, it's like I don't see a need for a degree if I already got my imagination going.
Yeah, you're not gonna, here's the difficulty with shit like that, and I've thought about this, but like you're not gonna get innovation from a place that's educating you on stuff that's already happened.
Right.
Like that's the education part is to help you get to that innovation part. That's the whole point. That's why you're paying them money. And so, or to land you a job at some place that is innovating, right?
Right.
And so since if your innovation hits you and you go, yeah, I'm not going to really learn how to create something that doesn't exist here. So I'm going to have to leave to create something that doesn't exist. That's why those guys left. It's like,
or how many people get a job right out of high school, and they just, because of whatever it is that's been driven into them or their drive, they excel and exceed what the education was that had they gone to college.
Yeah. And I know that I covered a bunch of subjects really quick, but I wanted to get your guys' play on, you know, when the red team and the blue team are watching TV and they see the red, let's call him the chief, right? The captain, they're there. So in athletics, they call it the captain. And so when you see the blue and the red team watching something, and they actually look at the captain of the red team and the captain of the blue team actually having a conversation like normal people. It's like, I wonder how their mind just goes, what the fuck? What's going on there? They're supposed to hate each other. And
no,
like,
exactly what you think is going on is going on. It's not your evaluation of the situation is correct. It's that you've been chilling for so long in a machine that's like fucking with you constantly. And this is like the age-old thing. It's like a lot of people get upset nowadays because they're online all the time. Like that's the problem. And a lot of the times it's like a lot of these issues that you think are massive and exist, the moment you walk out your door and you're like walking around and go to the park, they don't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My deal has always been
that's true. Great.
Yep. Yeah. My deal has always been with, you know, because I've always been involved with martial arts. It's like just like NASCAR. It's just like any other sport. People go, the person driving with his helmet on is not the guy that's the best friends with the guy that he just put in a wall. It's like they can separate their minds so well that I've heard professional drivers, because I'm listening to the radios, and they're like, you better tell 11 that I'm going to stick him in the wall this time. They can call that car 11 because they're pissed off and they're trying to beat him. But that's my buddy, Denny Hamlin.
Right.
And when we get off the track, we're going to be having drinks at the local bar, and we're going to be on each other's podcast.
Right.
But when they're in the competition of the thing that's actually happening, you know, Bernard Hopkins used to be one of the best boxers ever. He was a Hall of Famer. But people would say he's scary because he would come into the ring and he said the only thing that he thought about is the guy across from him is trying to make him and his wife and his kids homeless. He was able to do the Tyson thing. He was able to get in there and just go, so this guy's trying to make me homeless and he's trying to make sure that my kids don't eat. And it's like, wait a minute, that's a guy that you spar with. No, it's not. It's a guy that's trying to take food.
Mind's a powerful thing, huh?
Well, okay, there was, what is it, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. I just saw a video on how they treated each other on the court. And then years after, it was like, no, because Larry Bird was so intense. But he respected Magic, and Magic was like, oh, hey, oh, no problem. Very fun, fun, fun. But whenever they got together on the courts, you could see that they were just, the competition was there. That
they were throwing punches, throwing elbows.
Yeah, they were being
pushing
very
each other
physical
out
and
of
everything like
bounds.
that. And then what happens later? Magic is invited to Larry Bird's mother's house for dinner, and the mother embraces him, and everything is like, oh, so good, and everything like that. But yeah, in the throes of competition, it brings out a whole nother person.
Yeah,
Larry, if you guys, whether you watch it or not, it's really inspirational. But Magic Johnson's speech for a Hall of Fame, he thinks, his mom, his dad, the team members, all of this. And he goes into the person that I want to give the most recognition to, Larry Bird. He goes, I know I'm a good player, but Larry Bird made me a great player.
Yeah.
He goes, and Michael Jordan always said the same thing too. His best games were played because they said, well, we can't keep giving the MVP, most valuable player award, to him again. So if you watch his documentary, 1 year they gave it to somebody else. And Michael Jordan's going like, game on, motherfucker. I'll make sure that everyone made sure. So I think he in the documentary, he played 2 games against that guy and not only scored like 60 some points, but made sure the other guy scored 4. It's like, so everybody was like, hey, I'm normally not on this game. Not on this game. I'm going to make sure everybody that voted for him as MVP is going to go, I think I made a mistake. I mean, that's a whole different, drawing from a source of passion. And
I was going to say, going back, I'll never forget this because I've only had a couple of presidents in my lifetime, like since I've been an adult. But regardless of the way that I feel about Donald Trump, the fact that Obama scolded him, saying he would never be president, and then he became president, that I feel like that moment in history is like similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah,
where it's like
it was
telling somebody that you can't do it to somebody that does,
or come back a second time, because we're going to get that experience right now.
Yeah, and then a third time after that, and then a fourth. No,
there was someone that
can't do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, there was someone that made a joke about him at one of those when all the journalists get together and the comedians get together at
the dinner, the special journalism dinner. Yeah.
But I guess that's where it started. So someone was like, your delusion, you're in a delusion when you tell people that are around you that you're going to run for president. Like, how in the fuck are you so delusions that you really think that you could get the American public to believe in you? It's like, all right. And so now
the cool thing is what, if he gets rid of the 2-term stuff, right? Like say they get rid of the 2-term stuff,
right?
What would be the best scenario is then when we get the next political election, we'd have Donald Trump versus Barack Obama, and that would be a lot of fun.
Oh,
that
would be.
No, but that would be a lot of fun. But at the same time, I don't think that's gonna happen. So.
Nah.
He's not gonna go for 3 terms, you guys.
No, I think they already got they already. I think a lot of times I always wondered why, in all the years that I've watched presidents, right? It's like really setting up your vice president for when you get out of the office. You know what I mean?
Game plan, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is totally the game plan, and so to see how much that has failed is pretty hilarious. It's really, really hilarious. When Kamala had to certify the election.
Oh yeah.
They were saying, "Whoa, Kamala broke another record." There's never been a female candidate that was a vice president that swore in someone that she lost to.
Right. Well, Al Gore did that with W. Bush. And especially when there was a contested election based around what happened in Florida.
That went all the way to the Supreme Court. Did you know that, Matt?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. I've watched a movie on it.
Crazy.
There's a movie that came out like way back in the day that I've seen for some reason because I've just like watched everything. But there was a movie about that whole back and forth with Florida and everything about recounting and stuff because I always found
the
that
hanging
fascinating.
Chad.
The hanging Chad.
The hanging Chad is like
Isn't that insane? You know, like we've had some really close elections the last couple of ones, so we'll see.
Yeah.
If we ever have that happen again, right? There's a large part of me that thought this one could be that way.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a huge possibility that this is very close and that it goes to the Supreme Court and they rule in Trump's favor, right?
There was that possibility, yeah.
Yeah. Instead, we got the situation we did, and then we didn't have to think about that. So
yeah, when I think about again when we talked about this on other podcasts, that there's still a larger amount of eligible voters that voted on both sides. You know, I'm going like, you know, to me, no matter what the public says, this was not a landslide.
No.
This wasn't a mandate. And I know some people that know me would go, what? And I'm going like, now when you take 350 million and then you got like 77, 140, 170, that's like three. Yeah. It's like
It's about
all of a
150
sudden,
million voted, and there were like almost twice as many registered voters who didn't.
right. And then I'm like,
give us better options, you know? I voted, but give us better options.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like in my mind going, no, it's not a mandate. It doesn't mean that you get to do anything you want. It's like, if there's anything that I'll give this candidate a little bit of credit for, and so far I hope this happens, my optimization is there, being optimistic, is that every leader has said, let's find the best minds on the fucking planet. And let's make it better for our American people. But then we see, you know, their friends or their family members getting positions. You know, so one person said, and I don't know if this is true, I know of two names, but people said that in the inner circle, there's 5 people that make, you know, Trump look like he's never made any money.
Not surprised.
Well, I mean, think about it this way. Like, once again, going back to the same thought that I said earlier, thinking from somebody else's perspective, right? So let's put ourselves in Trump's situation for a second. You win your first term, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Maybe you didn't even expect to win, right? So you haven't really put a ground foundation together.
I think he actually said that out loud. It's like,
and so so then that happens.
He's been using that a lot lately, yeah.
Yeah, so then that happens, and you go, all right, well, I don't want to ruffle everyone's feathers and put in a bunch of people I know. So let's get a bunch of these politicians, and I'll get this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy and this girl and all this stuff, right? You get all these people, and then you're like, time to start getting to work. And all of them tell you no.
Yeah.
And you're going, excuse me? And they're like, no, listen, you don't control this shit. We actually make the decisions here. We're not doing what you say. Thanks for putting us in power, but it ain't going to happen.
Right.
And you go, they voted for me. They voted for what I told them I was going to do. And now you're telling me you're not going to let me do that? Correct. All right. Next time I win this, you're not being in there. That ain't going to happen. I'm going to put people in there that are going to do what I tell them to do.
Right.
And you could see that as a dictatorship. You could see that as whatever you want. And I'm not pro-Trump, but I can put myself in his position and go, yeah, if I got voted in a second time and the American people voted me in, fuck no am I putting a bunch of politicians that stopped me actively from doing anything that I wanted to do the first time around. I'm going to put people in those positions that let me do what I wanted to do and said that I could do. So I totally get where he's coming from with that perspective.
Yeah, well, just the word that keeps coming up, because there's no other word for it.
So all businmen and businesswomen in there instead of politicians.
Yeah, loyalty. Yeah, is like.
And all the politicians can say, oh, now you guys are being ruled by an oligarchy. Like we weren't already having that happen already. Like, right? You know what I mean? It's like your oligarchy is moving out, and we're moving more to a corporate oligarchy, which we kind of have had for a while anyway. but because all these politicians are being paid by these people anyway, but
Not only
they
paid by
were
them,
running in
paid by
somewhat
them,
of
but
a
given
facade.
stock,
Yeah,
everything.
they
It's
were
like, come
running
on.
some form of a facade going, we have your best interests in mind. Now, like those conversations me and you had, Dad, where it's like, no, now it's all in just plain sight. It's like, I'm just going to put these people into power that are billionaires and are these things, regardless of what you think or not, because I want to get the shit done that I said I wanted to get done. Regardless if that's, I think from a business perspective, especially if you come from the business world of being a CEO, right, and running your own organization and company, you're not used to having people tell you you can't do those things.
Yeah.
And so then you move into this whole new space that people voted you into, and people tell you can't do those things. If you didn't come up from the political world of no's constantly, and you came up from the corporate world of yeses, and those yeses have worked out for you, you're probably gonna have that Nobel Prize laureate mentality like Elon and Trump have, where you go, I just got to get these fuckers out of my way, and then I'll actually get shit done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it's really, really sad for anybody that voted like I did when Obama ran. And, of course, we all know how incredible of a speaker he was and how much he inspired everybody. And it didn't take very long for people to see after he got elected that there was a whole group of people that were going to make sure that he only got one term and that they were going to vote against everything that he promised the American people that he wanted to change.
Yeah.
And it's like when you see that, it's like, golly, man, this is just, I can remember like yesterday that, it's like, here's now a whole group of people. Okay, you got elected by the American people, but we're going to make sure that you don't do anything. And it's like, that's bullshit. That's just total.
Well, I think that's what, like, after this election happened, and I did see it somewhat as a mandate, in my mind, I took a step back and I went, let them do what they're going to do then. This is what the people wanted. This is what the people voted for. I voted. I took part in the process, and now I get to go through what ends up happening. But this back and forth of not letting the administration kind of do what it wants because the opposite side is saying that's not going to happen. Of course, there's a bunch of shit that I want that is on the Democratic side and on the liberal side that I want to have happen that I know Donald Trump will do. On the opposite side of that, I know that there's a lot of shit that the liberals have been telling me that he will do that I know he also won't do. So that's that fear part has kind of dissipated from me as the elections ended, and I've gone back to a place of, this guy's probably going to do a bunch of shit, but it's not, like he's not going to do all of the shit they say he's going to do.
Well, it comes back to that mentality.
I'm not falling for it a second time again.
Like, let them.
Hopefully.
Yeah, let
exactly.
them.
Let them. In other words, let's see what they do. We need to see, everybody's made these prognostications. They've made their editorials, why CNN and MSNBC, Fox News, those are opinion pieces that are on in the evenings. So now let's see what actually happens.
Listen, you guys sent that clip. Dad, you sent that clip of the guy talking to ChatGPT and aiming that gun and it firing. Yeah. And what was my text response to that? I responded and I said, proud to be one of the 2 countries that actually has this capability and not being one of the thousands that don't.
Yeah, I know.
Because that's the scary part of it. The realistic part is, regardless of what I think of Donald Trump, I don't fear being an American with that technology, with Donald Trump being president, which is just, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
He's crazy enough. And in that regard, crazy enough that worldwide, I realistically don't think the United States is going to be attacked by anybody. Yeah, or pushed around
just to say,
that way.
Hey,
with artificial intelligence,
I'm competitive and we're going to be winners. It's like fight, win, win.
That's what he's already.
Well, and he's
saying.
very pro artificial intelligence, right? Like, there's a lot of that. When he got elected, there's like, listen, I'm still a capitalist and a businessman, even though I'm part of this. Like, I talk a little bit about how bad the system is. Still live in the system. Right. So to me, it's like, Trump benefits me in a lot of he doesn't benefit me in a lot of social ways, and he benefits me greatly in a lot of business ways.
Creativity, being
Artificial intelligence will make me a multimillionaire, and Trump being president guarantees that for me.
right.
Yeah. If you guys
Again,
wanted an example.
perspective.
So,
Yeah.
right.
It's all about
But
perspective.
why-
and
why-
for the women in my life, Trump being president, probably not the best thing to happen. So,
yeah. And that's why you have to almost, okay, supposedly the public has spoken, supposedly, with the election. So now we have to do what we can to keep what we have. But once January 20th comes around, we have to see what is going to happen from that point forward. And hopefully we have 4 years where whatever happens is to our benefit. And if it's not, and the guardrails, as everybody calls them, are still in play, then hopefully 4 years from now, that's going to be it. We're going to have totally different attitude in the government and move forward.
if 4 years from now we're in a position where we're talking about who's going to be the next president of the United States, then something drastically went wrong with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Like we hit a wall, a severe wall. And I don't think that's going to happen. So I think in 4 years, we're going to be having a conversation of what we're going to do with what we want to do next as humanity, and not what we're going to do next as the United States. I'm hopeful that will be the case.
Me and my wife had this talk, Matt, and I think that you'll love it. As I just said, what I really, I know the word that infallible or whatever, but the thing that I love most about AI as it's going through and doing now, accomplishing things that human beings have never done, is that when it starts moving in a direction to take care of a problem that all the human beings can't sit around, Nobel people, scientists, people backed by money, whatever, best-selling authors, whatever fucking expert. It's like they can't sit around and go, that's not true. See, it's always a debate between a human being and a human being. We've been talking about, from the time that we started this, yeah, there's tragedies, but could they have been prevented? And then why weren't they, right? And then all of a sudden it's like shit just happens. It just really, really happens. I lived in California, and I'm very aware of the Santa Ana winds, and because you experience it everywhere in the world. It's like it's called fucking weather, and when cold front gets next to a warm front and they start pushing against each other, they cause this shit called wind. And it's very, very strong, very crazy. And some of it turns into hurricanes, cyclones, and tornadoes. And so all of a sudden you got one house that started on fire while there's winds that are doing a blowtorch on the side of a house next to it. And you just go, fuck, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, shit. It's like when you see a tornado hit, everybody goes, I wish we could have predicted that. Well, they're trying to do their best. And same with hurricanes. It's like all you hear when you have hurricanes getting up to speed is I didn't think it was going to get that bad, or we thought it was going to get bad and it didn't. So now you got everybody.
It's going to go this way and not that way.
Now you got everybody that's going, fuck, you guys made me evacuate. Nothing happened, and then the next one comes up and like, let's show you the spaghetti track. This is what the United States says, but then the European map says it's going to do this. So based on these two spaghetti maps together, it looks like it could hit anywhere.
Yeah.
But they're doing their best to try to warn people what's going to happen. And then, one city over prepares. We always hear that, oh my God, if this fucking thing hits Tampa, that's because of the walls, and they put up all this hospital has developed these walls that are impenetrable. And every time they put them up, the hurricane goes someplace else. But we all say, hey, the hospital's putting the walls up, the water walls again, because it's going to be so bad. And I just think a lot of times that we spend a lot of time focused on things that don't matter, that we don't have control over. And you got to sort of wonder in your mind, how much time are you spending not creating and imagining the life that would be better for you and your family? Like, is all this noise really noise? Whether it's politics, whether it's people talking about the politics, or, and I'm not trying to tell people that I'm lighthearted on things that you think may or may not hurt you or your family. I'm just saying that, if it's to be, it's up to me. I want to be in a mentality where, my house is purposely one of the highest houses around it. It's like everybody talks about, well, what if that dam busted? I'm okay. Will I be able to get out of my driveway into my neighbors? No, because they're going to be underwater. But
You got
but
a
when
boat.
I
Get a
hear
boat.
but when I hear Laurel's evacuating because of floods, I know it's not hitting my house. That's all
Right.
I know. And that was a decision that I made. And people will go, well, I can't afford to do that. That is also a choice. So I really look at where the world's going with AI. I don't know if Matt, you and I talked about this, but there was an interview that just recently was done with Elon Musk, and he's going, I didn't want to tell anybody this before because they would think I'm an idiot, and people think he's an idiot anyway. But it's like he's just like going, when you really break down the mathematics of Bitcoin, that's AI generated. He's going, now people take all the stuff that Bitcoin is and they're running it through AI educated models. And it's like, this is the fucking thing right here. And so when he said that to him, he's going, oh, that's AI making sure that it can finance itself moving forward. That the money part had to be put together first before it gets. So it's like, well, we can't afford. That's what people are saying.
Yeah, I had this story idea a while back. I didn't go anywhere with it. Maybe if you guys find it interesting, I'll do something with it at some point.
Sure.
But I had this story idea where man, you know what? I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm gonna make it
Okay.
instead.
Well,
Yeah.
it's really interesting when
Because
you
we're talking about creating things instead of talking, right?
yeah. Well, the thing I sort of wanted to leave with is the whole concept that, now they're saying for AI to continue to get where it needs to get, there needs to be some kind of solution with power. There's got to be a solution with money, and there's got to be a solution with whatever, right? And so then I hear the fastest chips that are made right now are made from AI. Really interesting that AI is actually creating monetary aspect where it doesn't have to worry about money. It doesn't have to worry about speed of processors or the quantum computers. So what else is it worried about? Energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now all of a sudden AI is like, well,
And
I
that's
I,
what I
I
mean.
I guess we can't
Yeah.
rely. I guess we can't rely in the future on a power grid that's made by humans. It's like we got
Well,
to
I was
figure.
gonna say, you hit on a great point because, like, the truth of the matter is, when I say people get freaked out when they hear certain things or hear Sam Altman or some of these people that are in the AI world, even Elon, talk about there not being an election in 4 years or whatever it may be, and you ask yourself, are getting rid of certain departments and utilizing
Yeah,
AI in them instead? People are just not realizing just how in 4 years how much exponential growth will happen with artificial intelligence and how we will start to have those types of questions. Like imagine we now have a question of curing cancer, right? And you sit down with a artificial general intelligence smarter than every human being on planet Earth, and it goes, I can figure out how to cure cancer and synthesize a cure for cancer. It will take this amount of time with this amount of compute, this amount of energy, right? And it tells you that this is what I need to do this. Well, now the whole world has to collectively get together and go, can we give it what it needs to get the answers we want? That's when democracy starts to like disappear.
yeah,
Because I think the truth of the matter is when artificial intelligence gets to that point, collectively, are we going to start to care so much about China and about Russia and all of these things when we have this thing that we all can feed into that can take us to the stars and further?
yeah. actually create
All of us collectively together might then all of a sudden decide, holy shit, this is a little bit more important than fighting each other now at this point. We have a collective thing to feed into. So we'll see.
why are there borders?
Right. Or somebody will hit it first and just turn it into a weapon and collectively control everybody else. So one of those two situations will happen in the next 5 years.
Well, I always enjoy doing a podcast.
Yeah, I
with
do
you guys.
too. I gotta go
Yes.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk forever on this stuff, but I just love doing a podcast with you guys. I get a chance to hear different perspectives and different ideas. And thank you for the people that are participating, that are writing stuff in the
guys.
chat. And I just love and appreciate you guys. I'm excited about 2025 and looking forward to
Things are going to be great.
Yes.
They're going to be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Great.
Love you guys.
All right. Well, first of all, I got to give a shout out to Santa Corky, who donated in the super chat on YouTube. Thank you, Santa Corky. If you want to, as we wrap up, there's a $sign in the chat below the chat. Click on that, and then you can donate. All the money that is donated in that super chat goes to the charities that Robert supports, and in particular orphanages. So we appreciate you for helping out. Thank you so very, very much. You can follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. If you'd like to join our exclusive community, you can do so by going to roberthollis.com/video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. There'll be lots of great content, and you'll be able to participate in our special events to help you move to the next level. Now, please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and with others. It will help us grow our community and reach those with ears that hear. Got to give a major shout out to our gentleman here, Matt Hollis. He's our executive producer and visionaire. Thank you so very much, Matt.
Thank you, Craig. Shout out to you.
Course, thank you. And of course, to Robert Hollis, our GPS to success, our guide, our mentor.
Thank you, Matt.
And thank you for joining us today on Unlimited Wisdom. My name is Craig Jackman. Please be good to yourselves. Be cash. And until next time, bye for now. Don't forget tomorrow, Saturday, 12 p.m. Pacific, Ask Me Anything right here on the Robert Hollis YouTube channel. Just go to roberthollis.com/video and everything will be posted up there for tomorrow to join us, where you get to ask Robert a question, any question. That's why it's called Ask Me Anything with the amazing tomorrow, Robert Hollis.
Love you,
Thanks,
Craig.
Craig.
Love you, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.
See you next time, everybody. Thank you.